Can you hear me all right?
Great, thanks, Vince. Yeah, loud and clear. Ooh. I'm in London, so it's, God, I don't know what time it is. Yeah, it's midday. Feels early for this call.
So you've been on holidays for about a week now, Declan?
Just flew back Monday evening and spent the day kind of in hospital Tuesday trying to figure out what's going on with lungs and stuff. And yeah, I've had it. Like I've not worked for about a week, but it's been a bit tough. I didn't want to come on the call, actually. I was just thinking, I'm just going to, I think one of my one of my coping ways is just to kind of lie down, just try and sleep. That's one way I use to avoid it when things are tough. But I didn't. So.
So why did you come on the call and not do that?
I don't know, trying to, I suppose it's always the thing of like, what's the right thing to do? Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. I'm trying to be responsible or grown up or good, probably. Yeah. And probably as well a sneaking suspicion that I'd feel worse later on if I didn't come on the call. Then I'd use that to kind of like, yeah, well, you know, I don't know, Vince. I don't know. My head is a very strange neighborhood at the moment. Yeah.
So can you get that regardless of the stories that come and go and play and don't play and whatever, that really what brought you here was not really a decision. It was just a whole lot of circumstances, eh?
Yeah. I say yeah like that, Vince, because I hear you, but my own head kind of says, no, that was my decision.
Yeah, but that's if you look back,
yeah,
if you remember what happened,
yeah,
you know, there was a whole lot of toing and froing and other things turned up, other circumstances.
yeah.
Just a million different things were involved, and they all just panned out. It's only when you look back and throw a blanket over the whole thing that you can say, yeah, I made that decision to do it.
Mm. Mm. Why is that important, Vince? Whether it's like,
well,
so I was just trying to think back because you said to me, "Well, why did you come on the call then?" It's like that. Well, that implies then that I made a decision, doesn't it? I suppose like if I'm going down your route, I should have just said, "Well, I didn't decide to come on the call. I'm just here."
So why I asked you that question was I wanted you to consider what was involved in that decision. Let's get this clear. A decision was made, kind of,
mm,
but that decision was arrived at because of all of the circumstances that were present. And it was your brain that made the decision, not your mind.
mm. Ooh, okay.
So that was a really good question you asked. Why is that important? Why
Yeah,
is that important at all? To
yeah.
If you recognize that that's the case, then all of a sudden you stop beating yourself up for decisions that you think you made and you didn't.
Mm, mm,
Right? So like if you didn't come, if circumstances aligned themselves so that you didn't come, well, guess what? It's the idea that you made the decision not to come that's going to provoke the guilt about not coming or whatever the feeling worse
yeah,
you referred to.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's really I'm hooked on now that what you said about the brain making the decision and not the mind, and just kind of like separating those two. Like, oh yeah, okay, okay, yeah. Oh, it's like a brain just kind of left, right, up, down, whichever. But the mind is the thing that hooks on afterwards and says, "I know,
Well,
I really thought about that, and I made
yeah.
the decision actually." Yeah.
So you can easily see that your brain is where the end of the pathway of all of your physical senses are,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So your brain takes into account everything that's there, right? Like the time of day, the the all those kind of bits and pieces that are coming in through your physical senses. It also
Mm,
takes into account your history, right? What it's learned from previous experiences,
mm,
right? And then there are the million of external circumstances like, do you have a computer with you? Does the time of day suit? Do you have internet? All of the physical components involved that are outside of your control that are also there. All of those things play a part in this apparent decision. So the end result is something like, well, here I am.
mm. Yeah, here we are.
So we remove the morality, the idea of good and bad, of right and wrong. All of those things just get left behind when we recognize that this just happens for reasons that we don't really need to bother about, but they weren't my responsibility. They just happened. I was just one or two of the conditions involved in it happening. Don't you get the freedom in that?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. It's just it's with this but, um, and I didn't want to say anything then because I thought I don't want to. I feel like I'm arguing with you, Vince, and I don't. It's like I don't want to argue with you. Like I don't
Man,
want to.
I'd be
I,
happy
I,
for
I
you to argue with me.
yeah, but
Good, good
I don't
country.
like. I really don't want to. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of. Oh, but I the freedom in that is beautiful. It just doesn't feel like that. And I'm kind of a bit tired of saying that now, but I don't really know what else to say. And kind of, it's almost like I just want to listen.
All right. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I did not. It's not like, how can I put it, things. It feels like it would be a false intellectual kind of, oh, but what about this and what about that? Like, and
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And especially if the this and the that you bring up,
mm,
it comes from just from the mind wanting to uh, arrive at some particular conclusion about it. But if you look at your relationship to each of those, then it becomes a recognition of what your experience is in these things. But the last thing I want for you, Declan, absolutely the last thing I want from anybody here is for anybody to agree with me because it's a polite thing to do or it's an easy way out of something. If you want to
yeah,
argue, argue. I'd love it that if
no,
you argue, you know.
no, I get that,
Yeah.
Vince. I do. Thanks.
But I also get that I can get that you're tired, you know, that it's like, you know,
Mm,
you kind of got this bit of hopelessness about something going on. Yeah.
yeah, it's that. It's that.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
All
yeah.
right. All I can say is don't take it personally, that hopelessness or whatever it is you feel. Don't take it personally. It's just circumstances.
Thanks, man.
Mm.
Declan,
Hey, Marius.
hey. You know, it's easy to come to these meetings and listen to anyone try to kind of explain how things work. But if you don't
Mm,
actually look for yourself after the meetings every day,
mm,
then it's never going to feel true because it's just going to feel like an adopted belief.
yeah.
You need
That's,
to do the work, not just come to the
yeah.
meetings.
But seriously, Marius, I, because I was listening yesterday or it could be the day before to this recording from last week when you were talking to me about, I'm just going to say something because my mind's gone at the moment. I don't, yeah, I'm not, I'm not clear on what the work is, apart from like kind of self-inquiry or inquiry and meditation or kind of contemplating on things. Um, I'm not quite clear on what I should be doing.
Yeah, so if the question now is looking at if you are the chooser or if you are in control, then the work is to look at what is actually happening when you're making a choice.
Okay.
Does the thought that lead up to the choice, the last thought before the choice, is that what's actually deciding what you're going to do? Did you choose that thought? Was it 10 previous thoughts that led up to that last thought before the choice
Mm.
that made the choice? Why wasn't the choice made on the ninth thought?
Mm.
And what made you have all those 10 thoughts before the choice? And what happens energetically before the choice is made? Do you feel content with whatever the mind is saying before the choice is made? Can you feel into how that feels? Where does that feeling come from? Did you choose that feeling?
Mm.
It's just about looking closely at what is actually happening in your experience and not just assuming that old narrative or understanding that you've had for your whole life.
And doing that with each area, each thing that comes up.
Yeah, just be curious about how
Mm.
things actually work. Look at the details, not the assumed bigger picture that isn't actually real. There needs to be, or in my experience, there needs to be something motivating that curiosity, not just feeling better. I don't think that's going to cut it. So it's like, what? Why? Maybe thinking about why. Why do you want this?
I think it is feeling. I'm really surprised. That really surprises me, Marius. It's just feeling better feels like bloody strong motivation to me.
Yeah,
Mm.
most people has that as a motivation, and I
Mm.
don't think that'll do it for you.
Okay. Great.
Could be wrong.
What helped me, sorry,
Mm.
maybe just my thoughts on it. Like what helped me to learn to inquire was like really, because for a long time I've always heard about like not intellectualizing it, just feeling into it, but I never really, for a long time I didn't really understand what that meant. And like sitting with that alone helped me. And then at some point I went to a Zen circle and talked with the teachers there. And I really like the Zen approach because it's so unique in a way where they like, their goal is to sit in the not knowing. So they have all these koans that have these questions, and it seems like these questions always like point you into this space of not knowing. So you like your mind kind of goes into the feeling of what is instead of pulling you into thoughts and intellectualizing. And I think like those two approaches are uniquely different, and spending some time with one of these kind of can maybe help, I think.
I think that's a good one, in that one of the things that keeps us seeking is the idea that we will be able to work it out if only ... If only we work harder, if only we read the right book, watch the right video, talk to the right teacher, we'll be able to work it out. And once we work it out, once we can solve the puzzle, we'll be there, we'll get it. Well, of course, that's nothing further from the truth. That's what keeps people seeking forever. Because there's always another book, there's always another video, there's always another teacher, there's always another something.
I think if you can develop a allergy for what is false, that's a good place to be. And to realize that or we can say it this way, if what is the self? What is the self made up of? Anyone can answer. It doesn't have to be Declan.
I'm starting to think of. Oh, it's okay. You go.
It's thoughts, sensations. Thoughts, sensations, that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
habits. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could say, stretch it even further, and you can say stories, narratives, and beliefs in those stories and narratives. And, you know, from there, you can see what are stories actually? What is a narrative? What is it made of? It's made of the mind's interpretation of what it's experiencing. And if we know that that is what the self is, and we know that, you know, let's say the goal is to drop the self, then to keep feeding that habit of constantly interpreting what is going on isn't really a great idea from my perspective. To realize that this interpretation is just imagination. It's your imagined take on what is going on in each and every moment. It's not reality. It's just imagination. So if you want to drop the self, you need to stop feeding that habit of interpreting every single thing you experience, because it's not what is actually happening. You're creating the matrix, so to speak.
Yeah. But
And
then
in the start, yeah, I'm
sorry.
just gonna say in the start, that isn't an easy thing to do. I understand that, but to understand that that is what you're doing, and to kind of hopefully this comes up as a reminder frequently more and more, then you start to stop taking the matrix seriously. It stops having this hold over you. Eventually, it just becomes totally absurd, to be honest.
So what about if you're a seeker, very active seeking creates the matrix?
I think that if you use the word eventually, Marius, then you're actually doing what Vince just told us it's not helpful to do. You're pointing to us being able to get to a place one day.
That is a good point, Hanna. It's tricky to use language perfectly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if I have to be mindful for every word I use, it feels performative somehow. So I just need to say what wants to come.
yes, I understand that. It's just that
But it's a good
I
point.
get this thing, so I bite in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that, and it's a perfect and good point. You can stop interpreting right now. That's why some say you are what you're searching for. Just stop interpreting, stop searching, be still.
Mm. Yes.
I have a question about my spiritual practice. It's related to this, but I've practiced with the idea of being present before, and it actually really worked out for me. Like it was very magical when I was like slicing some lemons, and it was like that whole experience was like magical to me. And so I think being present as a spiritual practice works for me, and I haven't really gotten anything from anything else. But like usually my practice was just like, oh, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And I would just keep repeating it. And but after watching two videos, they both said like, who am I and I am are just methods of thought removal. So if you have a lot of thoughts that are distracting you, then you say, who am I or I am to remove those thoughts because it kind of sucks it all up. Um, so is it okay to make my spiritual practice just being present? Because if you're just being present, then you're not really seeking. And I am what I want at the end of the day. So like and the I am includes like the environment. So would it be appropriate to just like use self inquiry to remove thoughts and that's it and and just you like be like and just like try to be present.
No matter what we use, no matter what we do, whether we do that one or whether we in any technique, anything that we do that is seeking is creating the matrix. The only way not to create the matrix is to shut up, not say anything, not think anything, not do anything, just be still, be present if you like. And the moment you notice a thought, you're making the matrix again. So you have to ignore that and be still. Don't say anything. Don't look for anything. Don't judge anything. Don't describe anything. And that's not very practical, is it? But if you recognize that no matter what you do to seek some thing, place, whatever you want to call it, is actually creating the very thing that you're looking to get away from.
And I also kind of want to say that, I'm not, my experience is not a thoughtless experience. I have plenty of thoughts. So it's not a goal to be thoughtless. It's just a relationship, as Vince likes to say, relationship with the thoughts. I don't take them as me or reality, or I see them for what they are.
Yeah, so just to go a bit further. So when I say we can't do anything without creating the matrix. That is until that what I guess what we describe as a shift happens. And then it becomes not a matter of what's said or thought, but rather what is our relationship to it, in what who is saying it, what is the ownership of it, what is the connection to it. And then when you imagine that a shift has occurred, those things can be done and said, but they're not creating the matrix anymore, simply because they're not there's no seeking involved in them. So it's a funny spiral that we go around. So the seeker has to stop seeking in order to be able to see this.
Is it
Yeah.
also like when I stop seeking, is that totally determined by conditions as well? And I can't really exert control over when I stop seeking?
Yes.
As everything, yes.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that an experience that has more suffering, like meditating and kind of suffering on the cushion, like would more suffering equate to faster realization?
No. But it is an old one. It is a lot of people, but it's a really old way of looking at that. The more you suffer, the more you deserve waking up. Well, that's bullshit. It doesn't work like that.
And
Uh,
just to point
I
out that
I just thought that if one has a matrix that is causing a lot of suffering, then it's more likely that
Yeah,
you would want to get out of this matrix.
it
If the
could.
matrix you
Yes.
created is very comfortable for you,
Yes.
then why should I seek awakening?
Yeah. But that's true too. And so, but what Vicky said was, is that suffering likely to cause the shift of waking up? No, it certainly might be a motivation. It certainly might be some of the conditions involved in it, but in itself, there is no characteristic that's going to lead to it. It just might just change your motivation.
and I want to point out like just what just happened is that there was a question asked based on an interpretation and an answer given based on an interpretation. We don't know if any of that is true. We can't know. This is kind of where I want us to go, is to realize that we can't know anything is true.
But when you said earlier, Marius, that recognizing what is false was a good thing, my
Mhm.
my thoughts immediately jumped up and said, but everything is false.
Yeah, but you don't see that unless you do the work, so to speak.
Okay, yeah.
You can't just say, because I say that everything is false, or um, that you see one or two things is false, so everything is false. That doesn't really change anything.
Mm.
It's an adopted belief.
Yeah, so you have to
So
recognize.
Yeah, in my experience, I had to recognize again and again and again and again and again and again. Every time I get into some kind of experience that I felt like was real, that sucked me in emotionally, that made me contract into a self. Every time I had to see that, this is just an interpretation. This is, this is actually not what is happening.
I think that's true, because I think if something is false or if something is true, it doesn't matter, because it's only false or true in a second, and then it's gone. And there's another thing coming up. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, I think the reason why I say you have to do it again and again and again is because you haven't really deconditioned the system to fully accept that everything is an interpretation yet by doing it a couple of times. So you get sucked into stories. You get sucked into narratives, politics, wars, family feuds, life happenings. You're not free if all of those things destroy this apparent clarity you think you have.
Right.
It's very easy to be in the dream and have a dream that you are awake. I think that happens to almost everyone. Because there is a bit less suffering.
I noticed my motivation for like seeking. I think this is just like because I'm so fed up of myself, with myself, and I don't know where to go from here. I'm just tired. So it's like, it's not like I'm trying to escape something. It's like I'm trying to go through it to delete it. Like I'm trying to delete myself. Again, not avoiding it, but just like, yeah, just going through it.
So
I guess,
where
yeah.
are you with that?
Mm. I'm here. um, I don't know how to answer. I'm just like, I went through a lot of emotions. That's what I know for sure. Like, I mean, the whole life was just like very emotional. And now I kind of like almost enjoy them in a way. Like I can feel the discomfort, but it's all right. I actually, I don't know where I'm going from and where I'm leading. I'm just saying some things.
That's good. You're not going anywhere. But yeah, I think it's pretty rare to have that relationship with you call emotions, I say sensations. Not everyone has that. Most wants to grasp onto the comfortable ones and want the uncomfortable ones to be over with as quickly as possible. Are you okay with your emotional experience being what it is forever?
Yeah. Like today, in the morning, I was feeling, I don't know, something in my chest, like some movement. And it was unpleasant. And I was thinking, why do I think it's unpleasant? What's in it that's makes me think that it's unpleasant? And I couldn't find anything that kind of like made it unpleasant. So I thought, all right, so it's all right for it to be here. So I think I can see that it's fine for me to stay. Like where I am right now with my emotions, it's a very good place to be. And also it's kind of funny because I've always like, whenever I like cried and wept and everything was so terrible, I still had this like background or something that perceived it very calmly, very neutrally. And I remember like I used to go to therapy and I told my therapist that whenever I cry, I'm just like chill with it. And he couldn't understand how can I like just like cry in the chair before him and also be saying that I don't suffer at the same time. But I guess this is in this way has always been like that. But recently, I think it's even better, like even clearer this like background.
So why do you want to erase yourself?
It sounds fun,
Mm.
like this whole concept. Like I want to do something, like to reach something, to reach some end, and say that okay, I'm done. This is done, and then I can live with my life just like normally, just generally. I just want it to be done. This erasure or whatever. I don't know how this feels or looks. I just want it to be done because I'm tired of it not being done.
Mm. Yeah, I can relate to that, I think. How I imagine that is, at least. Mm.
Well, if you ever get done, will you send me a postcard? I'd love to know what it's like there.
Me?
Yes.
Aren't you there yourself?
I don't have any idea of being done.
I thought Marius and you, Vince, have the idea of being done. No?
No. Ask Marius. Do you have an idea of being done, Marius?
I think my whole spiel here is not having any idea.
Wow. So what do you imagine it's like to be done?
Like sigh, a relief, and not needing to try to change something, I guess, like to reach something, to do something, just feeling that it's all right
Well,
right
that's
now.
easy. Why don't you do that?
Sorry?
Why don't you do that? Just drop all these ideas of needing to change anything. Nothing wrong with where you are, is there? So you're done. I'm telling you, you're done. For the moment.
It doesn't feel this way.
Right.
It's like something needs to happen or something. Yeah.
Right. So you believe that story that pops into your head that says there's more to do and then you'll be done? See, my story says there's more to do and then there'll be more to do and then there'll be more to do and then I'll die.
No, no. I remember like last week or something. I was falling into sleep, kind of like consciously. I don't know how it happened. Like I was aware that I'm falling asleep, and it was like everything went very dark and everything was disappearing, and I realized that I'm disappearing, and I was like, no, stop it! I don't want to be dead right now. I want to awaken first. Like let me awaken, then I can die. So I woke up not to die because I can't. I'm not done yet.
I kind of want. I've always actually wanted to say this, Vince. So it's coming up now, I guess. There is, from one point of view and from my perspective, there is. You could say you're done, and but I get this perspective you're coming from, Vince, as well. And but the done place is that you really just see how absurd it is that we believe all the things that we do believe. That you really you can really see through
Yeah. All right.
all of it.
Yeah. So I say some things are done, right? For
Yeah.
example, grasping for something more is done. Looking for a finish spot is done.
Well, yeah, that's what I need. That's exactly what I want. To stop searching. To feel like it's done.
But do you see that possibly that it's the belief in finding something that is keeping you searching?
It's not like finding, because I don't know what I can find. Like I know, I kind of get that it doesn't look like an experience or something. And I kind of get that it's present here, whatever it is. I think, yeah, I think I've read a lot and watched a lot, kind of like too much, and I have these ideas. Like I have the ideas, and I have the idea that I should not believe them. That's what I have right now. But it's not like clear seeing that they are like bullshit. They're just like an idea that I need to arrive at some spot which is done. Then the idea that I want to arrive at there because I'm kind of like done already or whatever. Yeah, and just like being tied all together. Yeah.
Do you see that when you had that interpretation or image of Vince and I being done, that image is something you have imagined? That there's no way for you to know where we are, what we are experiencing, and so you're chasing something that you actually don't know, but think you know, based on your imagination.
I also like, so it's a bad thing to say, I know, but I think you, Marius, are done in a cooler way than Vince is done. Like you're done in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely different. Yeah, at least I agree. He's way cooler than I am.
Yeah, I have this idea.
Here's a slightly subtle one for you, Yulia. The difference between seeking, searching, looking for something, right, and what I might call done in that way is that I have expectations of discoveries, but I'm not reaching or grasping for them. They'll turn up if they turn up, when they turn up, if circumstances provoke them, they'll turn up. And I expect that that will always be the case, which is just another story too. But the difference for me is discovery, for you is seeking. Now, can you change seeking into just curiosity and waiting for discovery? Yeah, you can. Not by willpower, but just by recognizing that what you're just believing a bullshit story. As soon as you recognize it as a bullshit story, you'll drop it.
Can I also say something?
I'll just finish that. I relate with being more curious rather than seeking. So like there's less seeking energy right now. There is more curiosity. So seeking is just the word. So I understand what you're saying.
It still doesn't feel right for you to say you're done. Sit with that. Don't answer it. Just see what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Go, Lenny.
No, I mean, yeah, maybe that also plays now into the curiosity thing. I mean, I think I had an experience where I was kind of looking through some things, and I think that actually also really came with that, because what I noticed was really the moment I want something, in that moment I created someone that wants something. So I thought that the wanting is a very good pointer actually, or a good starting point, because actually the moment you start wanting, let's say the want to be done, if you see that arising and if you really look very closely at that and can maybe actually see the arising of the story of a person that wants something now, then maybe, yeah, you can, let's say, get into this, I don't want to call it the space, but like you can get into this detachment of that someone because you can actually look and see its creation by the wanting or by observing the wanting. So at least that's what happened with me. And that was also like in a space on one day when I was like really tired of looking. I was really so done and tired, so that I really just said like I just want to sit down and just, I don't know, sit with every kind of experience that is coming up. So I don't know. I was really just um in feeling, looking, also like seeing and hearing. And then there was this moment when a want came up and I could immediately see, with that want, a person comes on top of that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that helps you, maybe not.
That's a big one. That's a huge one. That's really very, yeah, I just want to clap. That was just great. Yeah. And so it's not like you're getting rid of something that exists all the time. That someone, that self, isn't there until it gets created. And it's a sense of self. It's not an actual self. It's an illusion, but it is an identification. And it comes with these things that Lenny's saying, these things create the existence of that idea that there is somebody to identify with, somebody that the experience is happening to, somebody that's in relationship to others and the world or the world, etc.
So it's enough just to notice it, how it gets created the whole time.
Yes.
Is it enough?
Each time certain thoughts appear and we respond to those thoughts, we actually create that self that wasn't there before.
Yeah, that's something I noticed too. Like you create with every thought that you believe. But that's, when you really start looking at those thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I'm also I'm not saying like this happens all the time, but and sometimes I'm also like too slow and too behind these thoughts. But if you have a nice day and just sit outside and just be, really just be, not wanting anything and just observe anything that comes up, then I mean maybe.
But just observe sounds simple, but there are a lot of variations of how that happens. So to just observe, ideally, it is the experience of sensory input happening without narration, without any description. And that's a skill to be developed because it's not something we're taught. We're taught the opposite. We're taught that things only exist because of narration and description and definition and labels and language.
So maybe those will arise by themselves, but the idea is just not to believe them, the narration, the labels.
Mm.
Mm. So the idea that I'm not done, like say this idea, it will also be seen as something like stupid, and then I'll just like let go of it, and
Yes.
this is how I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, if it's let go of properly, I mean, that's a stupid thing to say, but you know what I mean. If it's let go, it's not replaced by the idea of being done.
Mm.
Even though I'm saying that, you know, I'm done in certain ways, it's purely for the purpose of telling this story, to communicate something to you. Right? There's never the thought of I'm done, just as there's never the thought of I'm not done.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Vince, how do you stop seeking? Because I would like to have more brains to have help me brainstorm because I don't know how to stop seeking.
Well, see, the very question, how do you do it, is only a question for the mind. And so the seduction there is that you look for an answer. You look for an answer to the question of how. And of course, guess what? When you're doing that, you're seeking. So not seeking isn't really a thing, neither seeking nor not seeking, but like both of those are a non-event when seeking is dropped. So we don't, when we're seeking, we're seeking. When we're not seeking, we're not seeking. We're simply not seeking. If you get what I mean.
Okay, I don't get
No, you
it.
didn't get that. Okay. It was a weird one. Yeah.
So does that mean like I stop meditating?
No,
Because
no,
yeah.
no, it's the same thing. If you're meditating, you're meditating. If you're not meditating, you're not meditating. You're not doing anything, are you? So you're either meditating or not, but you're not meditating unless you say, "Oh, I won't meditate." Then for that second, when you say that, you can say, "Well, I'm not meditating." But if you're not meditating, you're not doing anything, right? So can you say when you're washing the dishes, can you say you're not meditating? Well, it's true. You're not meditating when you're washing the dishes, but you're not meditating. You're washing the dishes. So if you're not meditating, you're probably doing something else, but you're not meditating.
Oh, yeah, because I do nothing meditations. Yeah, because even doing nothing is like meditating. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, that makes sense, but how does that tie into what you previously said? Because I think this is a big one for me. Like, if I can realize this, I think I can
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
awakened like sooner. So
Yeah.
sorry.
So look, anything you do to get awakened,
Did he get cut off?
Yes.
Oh, Do you guys want to talk about how to stop seeking? Because I genuinely don't know what Vince is talking about.
The one thing that comes to me as you speak about that, Vicky, is that as long as you're looking for a plan in time, like something that you're going to be doing from now and moving forward, then you are perpetuating the belief, you are perpetuating the seeking or the activity or the belief in a you that will do something different. So the one option available is that all the attention is on what's actually happening now. So you're noticing what's happening now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wait, let me think about that. So even when thoughts come up, they're kind of just in the background, right? Like you don't really, you're not like, are you kind of, because are you kind of like repressing them without repressing them when you just stop thinking and just like be present or something? Like, is that, do you get what I'm saying?
So in the context of what we're talking about now, if we were talking about some concentrative technique, it would be something else. But in the context of how to do not doing, right? You don't stop or repress anything. Like that's more doing. That's the belief in a doing again. So it comes in whatever way it comes. What might happen, the thoughts come in whatever way they come. What might happen is that you might right now notice how it's happening. Like right now, there might be a trying to understand or not, and you might notice exactly what's happening. That's where it's at.
Oh. So you just notice that the thoughts are happening? I mean, I'm sorry that I'm tying this into thoughts, but because like for me, like what you're saying is like the thought, the relative, like the clear-minded state of just noticing what is happening every moment. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I guess that includes and thoughts, like you also notice that the thoughts are happening. So is that more
Yeah,
accurate?
that is accurate. And then the trickiness is you also don't create an idea of a mind that sees it all, because that's another idea of a someone. Like it narrow the yes, I sense you're honing in, or that's how it feels from here. So you can't make it into anything. What can happen is a noticing of what is already happening, including the thoughts.
Oh, like a noticing without the noticer. Okay. Because Vince said that before. So yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome, most welcome.
Another thing that you can try. Do you hear me? When I
Yeah.
speak? It's a matter of resonance, I think. If it's resonating with you, you can just see that you cannot stop seeking because there is no free will to do it. And when you really see it, naturally, the seeking come down. And it's not only seeking enlightenment, it's seeking anything, seeking nice sensation, seeking relationship, seeking food, seeking anything that you don't have now in this experience that you have. And just seeing that you cannot stop seeking because you are not seeking. The seeking is just happening. You are not doing it. So you already do not seek. But when you see it, funny enough, changes the experience that you have.
Well, I feel like I'm being like pushed close to some edge. You know what I'm saying? like I'm getting closer to an edge. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Vicky, I just wanted to say something to you because I had a similar question a while back. Can you hear me? Good. And your comment was, how do I stop seeking? And it's kind of just saying it maybe in a different way that the guy's already said, but that's a thought. And you notice your interest in that thought? And it could be any thought. And your interest or belief in that thought is the very thing that kind of keeps you stuck. And when you make that statement, if you can notice that there's a lot of silence around it and within it, and become curious and more interested in the silence than the thought or the statement.
Yeah, so here's a good way into that. That's it, because that's a big one. You say, how can I stop seeking? Do you realize that you're seeking, not seeking? So when you want to stop seeking, you're seeking to not seek. Do you get that one? And if you do, what can you do? I can't seek, and I can't seek to not seek because that's still seeking. So you're stuffed. You can't move. All you can do is appreciate that silence that Dennis just mentioned, because that's all that's left.
Oh my God, I just noticed that. Wait, so is it just like this body mind is a program? So instead of like going with the program and still seeking, I should just watch the program, and like I should just watch the program and everything unfolding, and that also includes the silence. Is that kind of how where it's at?
Well, yeah, that might work. That might work. But what we want to do is engage the subroutine that takes us to the word that says end. So we want to turn the computer off rather than watch it just go around and around.
Was that just another thought, Vicky?
Yes. But
Like
see,
if you put all your,
go
I was
on.
just going to say, if you put all your thoughts down for a minute, Vicky, you can pick them all back up again if you want in a minute, but leave them all down for a minute. And what's here without going to thought?
I hear like a ringing in my. Wait, is that a thought? Wait, I mean, I noticed a ring in my right ear. Again, that's usually like a spiritual thing. Um, but with that's a thought. Now I turn it into a thought because I said it's a spiritual thing. Without the commentary.
Mm. And a big part of the commentary that's definitely worth noticing as the distractor is the meaning we put on things. So when we apply commentary without realizing it, we're applying meaning, and that's the creating of something out of nothing.
Oh, because when things are like, because we're trying to go back to unconditioned consciousness, so that's why you. But if you put a meaning onto it, then there's like it's conditioned now. Oh,
Mm.
I finally get that now. Okay, thank you. But like the seeking thing, I still have to ponder in my own time. But you guys gave some really good tips. Like I think I'm gonna try to focus on silence more. I don't know how to do that because it's never silent. But but just thank you guys.
Yeah, if it's never silent, you might still recognize where silence could be and focus in that area. Because you're right. I mean, there's never any actual silence. There's always something happening, whether it's internal or external, doesn't matter. That's always there. I mean, the quietest I can get is literally in audible terms, is to listen to my tinnitus.
And Vince, I would say the exact opposite, and not disagree with you, but say the exact opposite, that there's always silence. And without it, you couldn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Noise, music, sound.
Yes.
It's the foundation of everything. So it's always here waiting to be noticed.
Yeah, that's not. I get what you're saying, but it's not the opposite of what I'm saying. The silence is always appreciated, but not experienced as the absence of anything. So those other things are there because of the silence. That's true, but that's also a logical thing. That here for me, that's all those other things rest on that basis, on that fundamental.
Vince, I guess I just think it's weird because it's almost like I expect myself to get awakened first and then the program gets turned off. But realistically, the program gets turned off first and then I get awakened. I'm actually awakening might not even be an event. So, I mean, I don't know, like I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's true. I get, and to play with that a bit further, the the computer never gets turned off either. But
Oh, okay.
but the program that is playing is seen to be a program. It's not just the output of the program that's noticed, it's the program itself is seen. So for those who have no interest in this stuff, they live in the output of the program. And when you become a seeker, you start to notice the programming itself, but you still have a lot invested in the output of the program. And as you make various shifts, the output becomes almost background or secondary, and the program that creates that output is noticed as the program. But it still runs.
Do you mean you're noticing the dots or the root of all dots?
Well, but so the thoughts are the output of the program, you know, and responding to the thoughts are the output of the program. But when we notice what triggers a thought, we're noticing the programming itself. The code in the program is noticed. And then we go, oh, look at that. That produces that output. And then we go, well, you know, that output's not really that relevant because it's just the output of the code. But the code can still run and it can be go, oh, yeah, that's interesting. Or the code can run and I go, not interested, just ignore it. It just runs in the background and doesn't really produce any output. I mean, this is a funny analogy. It doesn't work that well sometimes, but yeah.
Can I ask, like, is it like an intuitive thing to stop seeking? I mean, I'm not sure if I'm stuck in thought right now, but like I can like feel when I'm getting contracted, like thinking about a certain thing, for example. So like whenever I feel that contraction, I should just broaden my awareness and focus on the silence, and then I won't be in seeking mode, right? Like, because I don't know, maybe this is all nonsense.
You're making too much work out of it. You're making hard work out of it. You don't need to do that. Whenever you notice a contraction, that's all you need to do. Notice the contraction. That you watch. Next time you notice a contraction, it will change because you notice it.
Mm.
And as soon as you recognize that happens, all of a sudden all the effort gets dropped. You don't need to put effort into it. You don't need to do anything. So noticing the contraction doesn't then give you another job to do. The noticing itself is really powerful stuff. It will change things because you notice it. But you got to watch that you notice it without judgment. If you notice it and apply meaning and judgment, then you're lost off in another story.
But you don't know this the thoughts though, right? Like when thoughts come, you just do self inquiry and you just get rid of them, right? Because actually,
You don't need to get rid of
wait.
it. They'll go as soon as you notice them.
Oh, okay. So you just notice everything then. You just like, and it's
Just notice.
changing every second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you notice them and then you go, oh, I've got to get rid of them, and you do something and they go, well, they would have gone anyway. They went because you noticed them. But then, but because you did something, you think, oh, that's the reason they went. And you just give yourself a whole other job and you just get lost in another process. So just notice them and then stop and watch. And they'll change. Just noticing is incredibly powerful.
I just,
Oh yeah, like
I think noticing can be heard as something that we can do, and then it's
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
then
it's
it's
another
a
doing.
trap.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like seeing that noticing is always happening, and then you really don't have to do like anything.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Good one,
so
Anton.
even the noticing doesn't come from me.
Nothing comes from you because there's no you.
Oh, true, 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 true.
So again, what Anton said, noticing is always there. Now then here's a trick. Do you notice that you were noticing? That's the bit that seems to come from you. Not the noticing, but the noticing of the noticing. That's the one that creates the self doing the noticing, not the noticing, but the noticing of the noticing.
At the end of the day, do I just have to wait for an awakening? Because in the past, I have had two no self experiences where my body kind of just melted, like the boundaries of my hand just melted, and I didn't plan for that. I didn't do anything correctly, like So like at the end of the day, do you just wait for it? Because I feel like it's so hard to figure this stuff out. Like I'm not really getting it,
Yeah,
you
yeah, good.
know.
Don't figure it out. That's good. Yeah. And a lot of people will say it happens because of grace or something along those lines. And that's a good description of it. Yes, you can't make it happen. So here's a good analogy for this. I love analogies. I just use them all the time, I guess,
Mm,
I've been playing golf for about 20 years, off and on, and I've had one hole in one. And that was very lucky. Very lucky. It was when I first started playing, right? But those professional golfers, those guys who've developed a lot of skill, and women who've developed a lot of skill, and they can put the ball where they want, they have many holes in one. But it's still luck. But guess what? Their skill level puts them in the road of luck.
mm,
My skill level doesn't very often get me in the road of luck, like that particular
mm,
kind of luck. Right. So it's the same thing. You wake up because of, let's say, luck, right? But the skill level that's involved puts you in the road of that luck.
mm,
And this is what we're talking about here. These groups are about developing that skill level to
mm,
put you in the road of luck. The skill level that we're developing here isn't going to wake you up, but it might put you in the road of waking up.
mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I keep feeling like meditation does something. Or I
Yeah,
mean, obviously it
meditation's
does,
good.
but like,
Yoga's good. Lots of things are good. But to
yeah.
think
So
any
after,
one of those things is going to wake you up, that's a delusion.
yeah. So I think after this, I'm just gonna start noticing more and enjoying more. I'm gonna try to enjoy more. Um, like
Yeah.
enjoy the thoughts, enjoy the sensations, enjoy
Yeah.
being alive,
And get
and
what you say. I'm going to notice more that that because we've spoken about it, that almost that in itself creates some conditions that you'll bring to that happening when it happens. And so it's like you're not going to notice more because you tell yourself you're going to notice more. Telling yourself you're going to notice more was just one of the conditions that happened because we've been talking about it and because you decided it was a good thing to do. And you didn't really decide it was a good thing to do. something that resonated with you, and therefore it appeared that you made a decision that, oh, I'll do that. But it's all just lining up those conditions.
Oh, you're like sowing the seeds, right? Like, whatever. All right, thank you. I think I'm starting to get it now. Thank you, Vince.
And it just occurs to me, well, it occurred to me a little while ago, and I wanted to say, Declan, that it's a good thing if you can appreciate that being frustrated and pissed off with this whole thing and feeling like you're not getting anywhere and being really tired and that kind of pretty grumpy attitude towards the whole thing, that can be a really good place to trigger things for you to see things, because there's a degree of giving up in that's potentially a good place to be.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you for even noticing that. I'm afraid to talk. I just feel like I'm just going to burst into tears, and I'm kind of tired of it. But, I think I had like some health stuff when I got back here on Tuesday. Like it's apparently it's not it is my lungs. Like my lungs are a problem, but the problem is my heart. My heart's racing way too fast. So they put me on beta blockers. I started worrying about that. But then I reversed it and think, oh, that means that maybe I didn't need to stop vaping or whatnot. At the same time, I've gotten rid of all of the nicotine stuff. So all the sprays and everything, smashed them up, broke them, stuck them in the bin. And I've gone cold turkey for, this is the second day now. And it feels like it's driving me crackers. So I think that it's a lot of that, Vince, and then mixed in with frustration here and just frustration with the lot. But it's really beautiful what you said, because at the same time I can kind of feel a part of me thinking, I don't thinking's the wrong word, a part of me kind of feeling, well, it's your choice, Declan. Like you're banging the story, if you just sit back.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Look, I can't remember what it felt like, but I certainly can remember how difficult it was when I gave up smoking several times. And as I've already told you this, I once gave it up for 2 years and fell back into it and took it up again and had to go through that same thing, that withdrawal and all of that, what you're going through now, I must have gone through that 3 times before I finally gave it up. And now I find the whole thing disgusting. Somebody who smokes, who's not smoking, but had a smoke within the last half an hour, can stand next to me and it stinks. It's not just on their breath, but on their clothes and everything. And the idea of smoking is repulsive to me now. So it's crazy how it changes over time. Yeah. And yet I remember that it was so difficult that I failed several times to give it up before I finally did. So what I'm saying to you is, chin up, old boy. It's temporary what you're going through.
Yeah, no, but actually, Vince, that feels really loving. I don't feel a bit tearful again, but I think there's this great, really crazy message going with it, and it's saying you're never going to be happy again. You're never going to.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, will you fuck off? Like, it's kind of so exhausting that, but.
And how crazy is it that this physical thing, this withdrawal thing, fucks with the mind? The mind does these really, really weird dances and things. Come crazy things turn up as a result of it. It's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Having a field day up there with whatever it is, dopamine and nicotine and all the other enes, and it's just like, oh. But really funny, just listening for the last half hour, especially with your conversations and the questions you were asking, Vicky. Thank you. It just kind of seemed to also make a space of just like, even underneath all that madness, it's okay. There's something worth exploring here. Well, there's nothing else to do anyway. It's all out of my hands.
Absolutely.
I just got to go along for this ride, whatever happens. Yeah.
And that's not just a throwaway line. The big value in that is recognizing the absolute the import of that, the ramifications of that is freedom.
Yeah, wow, it's really, oh, it's really difficult to accept and great at the same time. Because
I don't want you to accept it.
Just go to the shop then and buy 10 cigarettes. But I know I'm not gonna like it. It's so weird, isn't it? The whole thing is just so yeah. But to just chill and just it's okay. Just watch
and the
it.
big thing, of course, is that if you did go down the shop and buy some cigarettes, next week you'll be going through all of this from the beginning again, and you're already 3/4 of the way there. Why would you want to start over again?
No. Yeah, good man. Well done, Vince. Thank you for that. Yeah, I know that one, Vicky. Thank you. Yeah.
Dude, after I read that book, I quit smoking in 2 days, so you should really check it out.
I've read it. I read it some time ago. Yeah, but thank you.
Is that a new wall behind you, May? Oh, you're still at your mum's place?
I'm at my mom's place now, yes. This is my childhood home.
Ah, okay. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel like a child again?
it always brings these unpleasant feelings of being me before moving to England, not necessarily a child, especially not now, but not being allowed to be an adult, not being allowed to being adult.
Yeah, okay.
Under control, always under control.
Mm. That feels incredibly constricting.
Yes.
So do you recognize a reaction or a response to that? Do you accept it? Do you rebel against it? What is your instinctive reaction to that?
At the moment, it's searching for the sensation of it and staying with it.
Right.
And then whatever happens.
Yes. So does that loosen it?
Sorry?
Does it, when you look for the sensation, does that loosen the contraction involved, the constriction?
Not yet. It will be a work for a longer time. It needs to be worked on.
Does it have a flavor of thickness that, that makes you think it needs to be worked on?
You know, I think it was obvious that I should work on it when I'm here, but I didn't until you asked now. And then you asked what will I do? And I said, I look for the sensation. And then I looked for the sensation and I'm here with the sensation. But it changed for the moment you asked. And when I first recognized this sensation, it changed.
Right.
And it's somehow effervescent now. It mixes with the heat and air conditioning and everything that's outside, from inside and outside.
Mm.
It's changing as you're asking me now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you first mentioned it, I imagined that the familiarity of the place for so many years as a child, that so much of it would not be seen. It would only you would go through you would be living in your imagination of it rather than actually experiencing the walls and the floor and the pictures on the wall behind you, etc. Instead of actually seeing them, you would just see that they are there, and that the whole thing would be very much, you would be living in the feeling, not the place.
Yes. 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 It's very much so. But I'm somehow concentrated on the sensation because you asked, and I think the sensation is the most important here. Everything else will come afterwards.
Yes, yes, absolutely, yes. I agree.
It will or it won't.
Mm. Yes, and if
And
that
listening,
sensation lets go, you'll see things clearly, differently.
yeah.
Yeah.
And listening to me now, what I'm saying, I have a fear. I'm afraid that what I'm saying, it will or it won't, is something I learned from you. You know, I'm saying to you what comes to my head now.
Yes, yes, yes.
But then I'm watching this fear as a sensation, and a thought. And that's it. And this is how I'm going through days now with my mom here.
Excellent. Good stuff. Yes. And that it will or it won't is beautifully releasing as well. That's,
yeah, but I have this fear that I'm parroting what you are saying, you know. I was always such a good child, good pupil. I was always the first in the class. So you always say it will or it won't. Now I'm saying it will or it won't, and I'm afraid that I learned this from you, that it's not coming from me, from inside of me. But then I remember saying, not just you, but everyone, I cannot think what I want. My thoughts come as they want. So it's not something that me
yes.
put into my head now, but it came somehow.
And even if they're just words that you're parroting from anywhere, you're in the position to discover what's underneath them. I hesitate to say what they're about, but because I'm wanting that discovery to be
Mine.
a visceral discovering of your own. Yes, not just an intellectual acceptance, but a visceral discovery. That will or it won't is like, who knows? Not my control.
Yeah.
Mm.
This is how I take things now. For the moment, who knows? Tomorrow, who knows?
Yes, beautiful.
I want to say something about being done again, because I understand why I'm kind of like not done yet, because I really want to be a very special experience to share with others later, like a story to share with others, or better yet, to have like this experience in the moment, to share it with someone, like to kind of like awaken and be seen as awakened, and like feel proud that someone sees me as awakened person or whatever. Like I have this, I mean, it's like I have different kinds of fixations throughout my life on people, like I like someone and then I think like, wow, this person is just like awesome, and I kind of like, yeah, focus on this person a lot. And currently, Marius, you are my fixation. And like coming here, I thought like maybe you would say something like some pointer or something really cool, and I'll get it. And then I'll have such a great story about like getting it, like from you saying something, just because, yeah, just because I like you. So this is just like, I guess this is just like a very human thing, and it's tied into this being done concept.
Yeah, I think you said it beautifully. It's a very human thing. We all create these images of each other, and I I uh, I've fixated a lot in my life as well, so I can relate to that. And I think it's great that you see that. You see that now. You see that this is a fixation. There's nothing wrong with that. It will play out as it will play out. And recognizing that it's something you create. It's nothing about me. It's about the image or the imagination you have created around how you see me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed in all my fixations in the past. They kind of like, not like kind of disappointed in a bad way. I'm just like, why was I so just like obsessed? So yeah, they all passed.
Yeah.
And as far as something else you said, none of the people in my community, none of my friends, the people I play golf with, our family friends, none of them see me as awakened. They have no idea what that is. You know, at the very best, they see me as a weirdo, and I'm happy for that. But certainly they don't see me as an awakened one. So there's nothing to be proud of. They see me according to their image of me, just as you see Marius and me according to your image of us, and your image of everybody is how you see them. So in the beginning, you think that you're seeing somebody who is actually the way they are, but the reality is you're seeing them the way you interpret them to be. Yeah, so although Marius looks like the cool one, I'm really the cool one, not him. No, he is. He's definitely cooler than me. Yeah.
Then sorry about that. It's like, yeah.
You do not have to be sorry about that at all. I don't take it personally. You see, I recognize it purely as the way that you see things.
Yeah.
And the way things really are, I don't know. I have no idea what really are. I mean, I would never describe myself as cool anyway. I'm much more heated than cooled.
Vince, you were saying how like your friends or like people in your community don't see as an awakened one. So I have this idea that people who are awakened will see me as an awakened one, and everyone else don't matter. Like it's like
Right.
this
Yeah.
kind of like community that's cooler than any other community, and they will see me as an awakened one. And I can even keep it a secret from everyone in my life, just except people who get it. So this is just yeah. And I want. So funny. Like I want to be actually like interviewed or whatever, like about my awakening experience. Like people are on podcasts and stuff. And I even like, oh my god, no, this is like oversharing. I won't say this, but just like to say it shortly, I don't want to throughout my life when I'm in some situation where would be not a good story to tell someone. Like this was when it happened. This is confusing way to put it. I mean, I try not to think about awakening when I'm using the bottom, for example, because I'm very scared that I will awaken while using the bottom, and then what kind of story will I have to share? This is just like so like So I have to have a really nice story.
Yeah. Well, I haven't thought about that. So having an awakened shit would be different for everybody, eh?
But I think this is very, very normal for most people who go through this. And I think you're brave for sharing it, to see that and to share it. I went through the same. I was the special one for a while. Even I didn't actually realize it at first. I didn't see how subtly it can actually manifest until later. And that is the self. That is the self creating an identity. It's grasping onto whatever it can. So being someone, if it's the awakened one, or if it's the unawakened one, or if it's the special one, or whatever one, being anyone is kind of opposite of where you're aiming towards.
You know that, have you come across that old thing that's out there that says that anybody who claims to be awakened isn't awakened? Have you come across that one? You know,
Yeah, I think so.
it's common in a lot of these spiritual circles to say that if you claim to be awakened, it means you're not awakened.
Or you could have an initial awakening and then gone back to the dream because you formed this identity around being awakened, which I think is very common.
Yeah.
But
And
this
that's-
means
Yeah,
this
go on.
means you can never be awakened. You can never be anyone. No one can ever be awakened.
That's right. Yeah. It's a joke. It only works for seekers.
So is it like I'm just trying to understand how to like what to do. Just like see everything as bullshit and that's it. Like this story doesn't matter. This me that has the story is not like real. Yeah, I'm just trying to make some sort of like conclusion out of it.
Well, if you take that story about if you claim to be awakened, that means you're not awakened. Really, what you're talking about is if somebody says, I am awakened, it's the identification with as an awakened person that means that they're not awakened. So is it possible for somebody who is awakened to say it and for there to be no identification? Probably. But in most cases, you wouldn't find people who are awakened saying they're awakened, not because it will be perceived as just ego, but rather because they recognize that there's no such thing as being awakened. There is just this shift in perspective that we might describe as awakened, but like any label, it's simplistic.
I would even say shift in perspective isn't really correct either, because if there is a perspective, it means that there is a
Yes,
viewpoint.
From a viewpoint, yeah. So it becomes impossible to say what, this thing called awakening is not only not a thing, but it's not, there's nothing that yet I can say something is different now to what it used to be. And I can even pinpoint a time when that happened. And I describe that as a shift. But it is a shift in perspective as a description to say it. See that, and I don't know how to say that without invoking what Marius said, that it's a person saying this, that it comes from a perspective that's held by a person. So it's impossible to actually describe. But what am I trying to describe? Something that doesn't exist. But something is different. Not something, or only the word something.
I think, yeah, go ahead, Anton.
It can also be said as awakening is all that there is, and then it's not for someone.
Mm.
I think you kind of have to be on the other side of that to grasp that, Anton, don't you think?
Well, I find that there can be a mixed experience, that there is still an experience of everything. And sometimes this is what I experience, like most of the time I have experience of everything, but there is still an experience of it. And sometimes there is glimpses of just this without someone claiming it.
For me, it was like that. I had the weirdest experience because, like, since I was 11, I had like this existential crisis because, like, I had experiences of unity, and then, but there was still so much identity going on. So for years, my experience was like there is only singular, but with a self. So there is only one self, which was totally weird.
You mean like solipsism?
Yeah.
Um, to kind of give you a pointer, Julia, or I can share my personal what should I say, start of an active unraveling, so to speak, is just really understanding that the whole everything that I took to be me is just a story. It's just an interpretation, and that every situation I'm in with relation to others, if they speak something and how I hear that, that is just my interpretation, something I'm imagining. How I feel is based on an interpretation that is also just a construct of the conditioning here. And I was, slowly starting to see that everywhere in my life. I see that it's just a constructed, imagined interpretation. And so from there, you go and see that, nothing is really as we think it is. Even the concepts, we label everything in reality or perceived apparent reality, like, what is a tree? It's not a tree. The label tree doesn't represent what that is. Yeah, and so on. So when we see the emptiness of what we always thought was real, things can start to unravel. Same with, like, the roles we play in our lives, relationships that we have with different people. Like, you're a daughter. What does that mean? What is your understanding of being a daughter, for example? What rules or yeah, what kind of behavior do you put in that role? Why do you behave like that? Do you feel like, is that completely free? Or are you behaving in a certain way because you have put on a role that actually doesn't exist, that is also just imagined? Start going down that rabbit hole, and then something might happen.
Yeah, thank you. I think recently I've kind of like noticed that a lot of things are not kind of like real, and that I just believe in them, but they are whatever conditioning thoughts, just something that happens. But I believe that this is how it's supposed to be. Anyway, like I started noticing this, so I know what you mean, and I'll just go on with this. Yeah, I think I can do it. Thank you.
I frequently buzz on the idea that we awaken from one dream into another dream, and that both those dreams, all of the dreams, are always constantly changing. So nothing is static, nothing can be defined. But there are certainly dreamlike qualities before and there are now. It's just a different dream.
Yeah, I heard the thought that you can't really awaken, you can only become lucid, and I like it.
Yes, yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, and there's levels of being lucid as well. Mm.
Yeah, I would say from my perspective, it's when you're at the level of you're unable to believe in the dream anymore, and you're starting to like a question I was playing with today is I you know when I look at the world, the people around me, the events that's going on, looking at YouTube and what's going on there, it's like it feels so completely absurd, increasingly absurd to me, everything. Um, and so the question came to me like, who is the insane one? Is it is it the billions of people who believe in the dream, or is it the one guy who can't believe in any of it anymore? And it doesn't really matter, but it's an interesting question.
Marius, I have a problem with all of this. I'm with my mom now. Her dementia is frontotemporal of the primary progressive semantic type, which means semantic means she loses meanings. In relation between two of us, she doesn't know my name anymore, and she is denying that I'm her daughter. So I lost the meaning. My dad also lost his meaning. We don't have any meanings. We don't have any contexts anymore for her. And let me tell you, it's not fun and it's not good. Losing all the meanings. So watching this, me personally, I can see the fear that I have now of losing meanings.
Yeah.
But I have a fear and I see it. And
yeah. But this is why, for me, I can only speak from my experience, but for me it was very painful to lose meaning in all of my false roles and meanings in different areas of my life, because that was everything, that was what life was about.
yes, this is the construction of life. Meanings that you attribute. I mean, attributing is really interpretation, as you say. Attributing meaning to anything. Something means something to me. It can mean something else to someone else.
Yeah.
So I construct my world in my head of things that I think of them, that what I believe them to be. So if I lose all the meanings, there's really nothing left. And the only way you have to retain the ability to switch between two worlds, because otherwise, believe me, it's not good. Losing meanings.
Yeah, I have an interesting one there, and that is that I have a very clear recognition that meaning is made up. Always, meaning is made up, and I recognise that I still put meaning on things, but I also see it as made up, so it's convenient. Right? It doesn't have any relationship to truth or actual or reality or anything like that. It's recognized as something made up, which means that I'm free to turn anything into a meaning that suits me.
Into anything, yes. But what's left? I don't have the name. I don't have the relationship for her. I am just a being, and there is love between us. There is love. There is this intimate relationship. This is the only thing that's left. Naked love, nothing else.
Excellent. I like that. And I almost see my my lack of belief in any meaning as real as preparation for having dementia one day. And
Don't
and
do that.
I'll be happy to relate to anybody who's in front of me, and I don't care whether they're my child or a neighbor or a stranger. They're just a person.
Yeah.
But
Of course, if your mother is so, think a lot of people in, well, my experience was not that many people, but some people who got dementia, especially in the beginning of that, got very frustrated because they recognized that they'd lost that thing, that meaning, that the names they couldn't remember. They knew they'd lost it. Instead of accepting that I don't have a name for you, you're just a person. I don't know our relationship, so everything's novel and new. There was a lot of frustration. But when
This,
dementia developed to a certain level, then my mum was quite happy. I would just go and sit beside her, and we were both very happy. We didn't
yeah,
say anything, no stories, no words. There's just that
these are different
raw love that
types.
you're talking about. Yes.
These are different types. My mom has types she was never aware of anything. She just goes downhill and not a moment that she comes back.
Mm.
In
but
the
Vince,
end,
you say you can assign meaning to something,
yeah,
and if there is an ability to believe in the meaning that you assign, then there is belief in meaning. What I'm saying is that I almost have lost the ability to assign belief in any meaning that I would assign.
but you do have, you must have meanings. You just have a looser relationship to meanings, right?
Well,
You know what it means to lose a
it's
meaning?
more it's
To hold
more
a
like,
fork, to hold a fork in your
yeah.
hand and you have no idea what it
Yeah,
is.
I guess there is a unconscious conditioning, so to speak, like as meaning, you could say. Um, but it's more like you just beautifully described, Maya. It's more like the intimacy. It's not the assigned, mental story or meaning,
Mm.
but it's more the intimacy of whoever
Yeah.
and whatever is there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. That meaning creates separation.
Mm.
I still have no experience of that. I hope to have it someday.
Are you sure?
Thanks.
Well, there's nothing to say that your version will be anything like we've talked about. But being faced with that is I imagine it could be sometimes painful, but also it's an incredible opportunity. Yes.
It's teaching me. It's teaching me so much. It's teaching me incredible. I'm a linguist of, I don't know, 25, 30 years. I have to admit, I never contemplated meanings and semantics this much. I had no idea what semantics is, what meanings are.
Mm. Yes, I rather imagine a linguist is a linguist. The training that a linguist would go through puts words or language at a 100% intellectual level.
Yes, yes.
Even the meaning of a word never becomes an experience. It just becomes more other words.
Lots of definitions.
Mm. Mm. So we need a special category for a linguist that experiences the experience of the meaning of words.
Yeah.
That's a new category. You'll have to make up a brand new one for that, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting to contemplate how concepts form our reality. So let's say, for example, if freedom, the concept of freedom, didn't exist, how would we experience reality?
Any concept, actually. Fear, freedom.
Anything, any concept.
I had this thing with emotions where, like, recently I noticed that I can't, before there used to be like one single emotion. I knew that this is sadness. Then I noticed that it could be at the same time sadness and gratitude and like something like love or whatever, and like at the same time. And now I can't really name them whatsoever. Like there is just something, some sensations, and it's kind of like stupid to put a name on it, like put a label. So I get this thing where like experience is so different from what's going on, and we are very limiting ourselves when we kind of believe in the label that describes this experience.
Yeah.
And even the label, if I say a label, you have no idea if you understand what I actually mean by that label. You only understand your own concept of that label.
And all labels are incredibly simplistic, reductionist.
So funny how people can communicate at all. Like everyone speaks about their own thing and kind of like they try or we try to connect, and it's just like puzzles that can never fit. Or I don't know, this is just like so funny when we actually try to relate to each other without being able in truth to do it. Well, maybe there are ways to relate, just like not with words.
I think there is only one way to really relate and to connect, and this is the way how I don't remember the name. I'm sorry. Maya doing it with in this situation, and this is the same way that we connect always, but the labels are seemingly disturbing this connection, but the only real connection is underneath in our we are all the same, we are not separate, and this is what makes us able to really connect.
Mm. I like the concept of the the carrier, the vessel that carries something, and words can be a vessel that carries love or connection or warmth or whatever, even though they're just words, but they're carriers as well. So we, even if whatever, no matter what people are saying, there's something underneath that that's being transmitted along with what they're saying. And that's what I find interesting to connect to with people, especially if they're talking about something I don't agree with, or if I find, yeah.
Vince, what do you mean? You're like trying to feel connection, like based on love or something with everyone? I don't quite understand.
Well, it's like I was playing golf the other day on Thursday, and two people that I was playing with, two friends of mine that I was playing with, were having a discussion about wind farms. Right? Here in Australia, there's a big thing of a lot of wind farms are going up around the place, and there's a plan to put wind farms offshore where I live, out in the ocean. And they were having discussions about this wind farm, and they were somewhat against the wind farms. And my immediate reaction is to be for wind farms, right? But as they were discussing between themselves, I was more or less just witnessing that. And what I was witnessing was them connecting with each other about things they had agreed with. And so I wasn't particularly paying attention to what they were saying about the wind farms, but I was noticing how they were connecting with each other in their discussion about that. And I would see that as a maybe love is too strong a word for what they were experiencing, but it was a version of that they were doing. And it was noticeable that they were aligning each other up, aligning with themselves, the other one, each of them, as they spoke about that.
I just
Like
had
people hate each other too.
I just had this
Yeah, go on,
thought that
Anton.
love is kind of maybe something like relating to the sameness in something.
Yes, that would describe it well. Yeah.
And I think that we all in different ways seeking it while when we connecting the unseparateness that is here. So it's really already meaningless. We are just finding reasons.
Yeah.
We don't.
I think connection is a misleading word. I think absence of disconnection. Like you can see it differently. There is nothing to connect. Everything is already connected, but we are creating separation that feels like disconnection. So it's about seeing when we are constructing separation through the mind. For example, we can have an intense emotion like anger or defensiveness or something like that. And already there, using anger or defensiveness, I've kind of interpreted already. But from there also, you kind of interpret more that something else in me created anger or defensiveness in me. But already it's fantasy land. It's just a sensation happening. it's a misinterpretation or interpretation at all.
I was talking with friends, and it came up how creation of self can be because of seeking a connection. It's like the self gives you this conversation starter. Oh, so you are a Buddhist. Great, I am too in this stuff. Oh, you know, you don't like strawberries. Oh, I don't like them too. Whatever. And
at some point you can have those type of conversations though, if there's been sort of a paradigm shift, a permanent paradigm shift where you can actually not see people as other, then you can still have conversation and feel like there is no self. But I get your point.
yeah, because you know it can go to level. Oh, you are human. Great, I am too. You are a living being. Wow, I am too. We have connection, but it's still identification.
Actually, if it was as you describe it now, more on a simple level, I think I would connect more to people. It's hard to be serious when you're speaking about, I don't know, the government and stuff like this. But I'm human, you are human. I think it's good enough. It's much more innocent, I don't know.
I'm thinking what I will do after I don't have any insecurities anymore, because right now I'm connecting to people based on these insecurities. Like someone shares something and I'm like, oh dear, I feel the same way. Like it's so hard, or it's just like it's annoying. Like I can see, for example, that my sister is self-conscious about how others see her, and I feel the same way, so I can connect with her. But lately I've been kind of like focusing on this like way that I'm worrying about how others perceive me. So I've been focusing on it less, and I feel that I kind of like connect with her less already. It's like I don't support her story, and yeah, and kind of like drift in a way. It's not like a big problem. I'm not afraid of it on anything. I'm just noticing.
Yeah, there's a subtle level there that's rather interesting. So you could mourn the loss of having the same story as your sister, and feel like that there is less of a connection. But because it is something that you can remember feeling yourself, you can have compassion for her, even though it's no longer a case for you. And that's a connection. So what as people have been talking here for the last 10 minutes, I've been thinking repeatedly about how much do we take this personally? How that's where identification happens, when there's a contraction, because we take it personally. That's the thing. So that it's there is a difference between two selves connecting and two non-selves connecting. you know, so to speak. That was a pretty gross way to put it, but you know, people, you know, that experience of love for somebody doesn't have to have a feeling of love from somebody. That because that's imagined anyway. But the love for somebody is experienced. It feels like that was a messy thing to say, but yeah.
It's like so weird. I try to imagine like not being able to do like small talk or anything, but just loving everyone. This is like so stupid. Like, I mean, um, I think I'm just, yeah, I still am worried how I'm perceived. So I'm thinking, how will I be perceived when I will have nothing to talk about? So this is just like a thing that I have right here.
Mm.
At that stage, I don't think that would matter to you.
How I'm perceived wouldn't matter later, right? Mm.
And having nothing to talk about wouldn't matter either. But it would never be the case. You'll because you'll talk with somebody about where they're coming from. It'll be where what you're feeling will become irrelevant. You know, you will be not interested in telling them about what you're feeling. You're only interested in what they're feeling. At least that's the way it appears here, a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that as a. I get what you're saying, but I also just feel like mentioning so nobody feels like something has gone wrong. Um, that it can be um, difficult to, or impossible maybe, to fake interest in what is talked about. At least that's my experience. So when they are going on and on about politics, for example, I can't join that conversation. I remove myself from that conversation because it feels uncomfortable to fake it, to fake interest.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm thinking about a friend I've got who goes on and on about politics a lot. And I don't confront him as much as my wife says I should confront him, because even when sometimes I disagree with what he's saying, I don't confront him about it. But usually I'm more interested in where he's coming from rather than what he's saying. So, yes, I also agree. I'm not interested in faking it, and I'm not interested in getting into talking about things that are going on like that. But I am interested in why he's interested in talking about that stuff.
It's difficult for me to fake interest too, but I think I fake it because I have this like identity or whatever of me being nice, like to not to not to upset anyone, offend anyone,
But
just
that's a
like
big one.
try.
That's very powerful, that stuff. You know, you don't want to be impolite. You don't want to tell somebody to shut up when they're going on and on and on about that. You want to do it politely. You want to withdraw without confrontation. That's just where we've been conditioned again. And it seems appropriate. You don't really want to cause a fight. You don't want to tell them they're stupid. You don't want, you just want to not be there, not be involved in that.
Yeah, but I also think that, you wouldn't want to cause a fight or anything like that because you wouldn't have any opinion on the matter. You wouldn't think that they're wrong, so I want to confront them about anything. It's just a lack of interest.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I have to admit to still having opinions about things.
Yeah, I'm not completely free of opinions either, but I can see a a process of having less and less.
Mm. And yeah, and part of my ongoing experience is that I don't need to defend my opinions about things. I'm quite happy for people to have a different opinion. But when they want to talk about that different opinion, I'm much more inclined to find out where it's coming from. What are they feeling as they talk about those things? So I'll ask them questions and direct the conversation. That's kind of a skill that seems to have developed here a bit. So I can talk with people that have got totally different opinions to me about things, and we can get on fine.
Mm.
But I'm buggered if they ask me what I'm thinking. I tend to avoid that. I'm much more interested in what they're thinking.
Yeah, it's interesting. It sounds to me like there's nothing right or wrong about that, but just a difference in that you're seeking connection through understanding them.
Yeah, that connection's a big thing for me. I do want that, I think. Yeah. And I want it with everybody. Even if they're an arsehole, I still want it. Yeah.
Is it maybe also curiosity? Because I definitely have that where since the idea of morality went out of the window, it's kind of like you realize you could have ended up in any place, in any story. So it's kind of interesting how certain stories came to be, how certain archetypes kind of
Yep.
form. And
Yeah. That curiosity word is big. Yeah. I'm for some reason I'm interested in their stories. But not so much just their stories, but the feeling that's involved in the stories is where I'm interested. If I
Sounds
was, I
like
wouldn't talk to
sounds like
anybody, probably.
you listen with the heart. So this.
Say that again, Anton.
Yes, it's because I without the earphones. It sounds like you listen with your heart. So the connection is happening not on the mental level, but you're hearing them.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's going to the heart, not to the mind, and so.
Yep. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I am a good listener, even though I'm a good talker as well. But I'm a good listener.
But is it, I want to explore this, Vince. I'm just trying to look at my own experience. So here there is no need for connecting to anyone or everyone, but I do enjoy connection or perceived connection. But I don't seek connection.
Yes. Yeah. No, I do. I imagine I do. I started out as a people pleaser, and that was a big thing for me. And I guess this is a residue of that. I still want to get on with everybody. I want to be liked by everybody. I don't care if they don't like me, but my preference was to be liked. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't go out of my way. I'm quite happy to. I mean, I would quite happily be a hermit. But when these people are in front of me, I want connection. Yeah. But I don't go seeking it from nowhere. Yeah.
It's a crazy dream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
kind of
It is.
genius.
Oh, Anton, go.
I find it genius, the dream. When you think about it, how it all works, it's simply genius. No mind, no one could create it.
Yeah.
It's
You could never prove this, but it's tempting to label it as perfect intelligence.
yes, and I think that it's because no one's standing behind it. And when I experience myself acting from no one behind it, always synchronicity, it's always good. But when I feel that I'm here, then all the troubles start.
The synchronicity thing still boggle my mind because it's always so tempting to like project ideas onto them. But then again, sometimes stuff happens that's just so, I don't know, fascinating.
Can I go back to connection? Just because I will be thinking about it all the time and not hearing anything. Because I saw it in some people and in myself also, that getting into a conflict is a way of connection. For some people, it's the only way they know. They weren't taught any other way.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that.
Because being in conflict is better than being indifferent and completely not acknowledging.
Yeah, there's an aliveness in that for some people, I guess. Yeah.
It reminded me of my appreciation for pain after a long period of feeling nothing. Then I saw the beauty in both sides of that spectrum.
I think it's also like a fixation on control, maybe. So you want to connect, but you can't connect without trying to control, something like that. Or at least, like, sometimes I feel like there is this polarity of trying to control and fear, and on the other side, like love and just acceptance or something.
Getting people to like you is controlling them.
No, I thought we were speaking about conflict. Yeah.
But it's the same.
Yeah.
And all of that is in the dream.
I'm very curious because I feel like this world is kind of like the one that I live in is like my dream. It's like whatever happens is connected, related to me. And I'm wondering how do other people with their own worlds and dreams, how we kind of like interact? How, is it like bubbles coming together, or I'm just like I don't have. I don't understand how everything like works. Like, does anyone kind of have a feeling of how it works? How people can be in their own worlds but still like meet each other? This is so weird.
I actually thought about it not so long ago. I was interested in astrology and stars and how they influencing us, and then somehow it came that there is no stars and no us influenced by the stars. All there is energy, and then this energy is becoming it's like taking colors, like there's a green energy, a yellow energy. It's all, yeah, just imagination, of course. And it's just, there is no separate me and you and stars and earth and it's all these energies. So it's not that stars influencing me or I'm influencing you or you are influencing. It's all one energy and it's flowing and there is no separation. It's just energies, and this only the idea that I am here that creates the whole notion of separateness. And it's just an idea that we believe, but all there is just an ocean of energy and it's all free and alive, no one doing it.
Okay, but it does not explain how can I have an experience that's connected to how I see the world. Like how is it possible that my energy is kind of like looks in this way and someone else is in totally different way? Like someone, I don't know. I mean, I used to be more afraid, for example, and I encountered things that scared me more. Like I was more often in situations that were scary, but now I'm less in situations that are scary because I like kind of like, yeah, I'm not as scared as before. But someone might still be scared, so they still encounter those scary situations. And how can it be possible that we share the world where in my life there aren't that many scary stuff, and in someone else's there is like everything is scary? So how these
That's the
dreams are connected?
interpretation. That's the interpretation. Everybody has unique interpretation of what is going on. So if you interpret a dark road as possible danger, and I go down the same dark road and I just see a dark road, it's just a matter of how we interpret that situation. And that is all based on conditioning, past experiences, what you've been taught.
So like different worlds are not necessary. It can be one world, but just people would experience.
Yulia, there's no answer to this inquiry that you're seeking to find an answer for. You cannot possibly, right? Anton has come up with a story that resonates for him about that, and we can each of us come up with a different story that resonates or not for ourselves, right? But the reality is, you have an experience in life where there is you and there are other people. There's you and there's the outside world. And then you hear about this idea that we're all one, we're all the same, there is no separation. Right? That's something that you may at some point have an experience of, but you won't be able to describe that experience. You won't be able to put it into words. It won't make any sense to anybody else. It'll be like you're talking about God, or you're talking about something that can only be related as a concept. Right? But the reality is that there is nothing binary in this world. There is nothing black or white. There is no straight lines. Everything is always in flux. Everything is always shifting. And the reality is that there are no individuals either. But your experience is that of being an individual. And so at the same time as you are born alone, you live alone, and you die alone, you're born as part of, and you'll live as part of, and you'll die as part of. That's equally true. And if you reach a certain stage of whatever, blah, blah, that's another story, you might experience the lack of separation between you and others and you and the world. And there won't be, you know, even saying it like that won't be accurate. You'll experience emptiness as full and fullness as empty, and all of these really, really weird, conflicting concepts will be equally true all at the same time, and it'll be your experience. If you took a magic mushroom trip, you know, you'll immediately experience a whole lot of those things, but you won't be able to transmit that experience to anybody with words. It'll just be your experience. So there's no answer to that question. How can it be? It just is what it is, what it is, and it's not what it's not, what it's not at the same time.
Okay, I actually had an experience which was like, I had a couple of experiences which were like solipsistic. So it was like I felt that I'm the world, like everything is going on within me, like inside of me,
Yep, yep,
or I'm equal to whatever is going on. So
yep. Right.
that brought up the idea of this like bubble, which I'm like, I'm a dream of this kind of like in this bubble, and someone else should be in their different one. But yeah, I get that it's like it's not something that I can know for sure. This is just like
Yeah,
my
yeah,
experience and how I interpret it and how I see them, how I might kind of like,
yeah.
yeah, how I explain the world for
I like
myself.
I like one concept is that everybody's in their own personal bubble and their bubble's aligned with mirrors on the inside. That seems true.
Mm,
But then
mhm.
again, all of these bubbles are mixed up with everybody else's bubbles. That's true in a different way. Yeah. So that experience that you had, you could never share that in a way that would. That's like trying to tell somebody what an orange tastes like if they've never had an orange. It's not possible. Can't even begin to get close to it. The only way to share that experience is to give them an orange, or for them to have a taste of an orange. And even then, their idea of that taste will be different to yours. This stuff is full of paradoxes. And so immediately you try and describe something, you run into trouble. You can only do it at a simplistic level, at a gross, superficial, simplistic level. That's the only way that description or definition can work. As soon as you get into any detail, it becomes impossible to describe it.
And this is kind of my point at the start of this conversation about interpretation. Like, as soon as we stop trying to understand this, things get a lot more simple because we see that interpretation is just an interpretation. It's never going to be true. So if we stop trying to understand life, the world, our experience, our emotions, other people, and just experience. There's nothing wrong with trying to understand those, but I think get out of the grip of the dream first, and then you can play with all of that crazy stuff if you want.
Mm.
I was recently playing. I really liked the idea in the awakening curriculum. I am always wrong. They're always right. I really resonated with it, but I changed it to I am always wrong. You are always right. I like the idea of God, and if I am always wrong, why am I to try to come with an the description of anything? Like, it can arise, but there is no reason to try to understand something. And this is and that's it, really. Yeah, and it's so simple.
Well, it's interesting that the 10th fetter is ignorance, not knowing.
Yeah, it's like not knowing, because there is nothing really to know.
Mm-hmm.
But
yep.
So
And
there is
freedom
no
in,
real ignorance then.
yeah. And the freedom is in not needing to know, not even desiring to know, just really happy with.
Exactly. Yes, this is the.
I feel like there's been some good stuff in this meeting.
Yeah, there usually is.
Yeah.
There's been some good sharing and some good connecting. Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. Yes. Mm.
I'm having a bit of a rough time again since yesterday. Like, the last meeting felt really powerful, like after it, because we were speaking about responsibility. And in the next morning, I woke up with that huge sense of contraction again. And as soon as I noticed, I sat down and tried to feel into it. And then, like, the meeting came to mind and I felt into it, and I realized that all the contraction was the sense of responsibility. And it kind of faded away for the next following 2 days. But then again, I feel like I'm in this loop, because I'm in this situation where for months I've been on this marathon of like shadow work, but not by choice, not because I like decided. It's like more as if I'm pulled the thread of a sweater and suddenly the whole sweater just. And I'm in this loop where I really like financially would need to look for work, but every time I try, I see that it feels like just trying to control it, and there is no real, like, I don't know. And then I'm confused as to where is my sense of survival. There is, I don't know. And then also weird things happened, because like I had it already before, situations where I knew I didn't have to worry, and I never get like gifted money, and suddenly I got gifted money and everything is fine for another month or two or whatever. But and then I felt like, I think, or it feels like whatever is there is still some processing, and just wants attention. And then again, the same game of there is some energy. But yeah, I don't even know what's uncomfortable about it. And I had this last week with some sense of grief, but now it feels like more primal. I had moments of where I felt something like I noticed myself starting to do some selfing and going into thought and identifying. And then I feel into general sense of a self. And then suddenly it shifts and it feels like fear and helplessness. And sometimes blame. And yeah, it's like some things are confusing. Some situations feel natural and there is just presence. And others feel like a lot of doing where like shifting the knobs on the radio signal, like adjusting what is really here. It feels like I'm not seeing it. And then it feels again like there is some kind of somebody trying to do something. And then I fall back out of it. And it's so confusing at times. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Is it possible, Norbert, that you're taking some of these concepts that we have in the awakening space, so to speak, and overcomplicating your experience? Like one question came up, what does it feel like doing? What does that mean?
Like it feels like there is a sense of like there is some contraction where it feels like there is responsibility and I have to direct attention, something like that.
Is it possible that the attention is directed and then you identify with that in a way that you believe that you are doing that?
Yeah, it's possible because I had this thought today myself. And that's what's so confusing to me, because at times it feels very clear, and in other times I also was thinking today if I just project onto it, because like 2 years ago something, I started having these huge bodily symptoms, and then I started researching and I read a lot about Kundalini, and it mapped over it perfectly. And so oftentimes I don't know if I enter some story about some things that I've read, because it feels so. Over the last year, I had so many instances of where this happened a lot. Like there is a huge energy that feels like it wants to come out and I don't know what it is. And then over the course of a few weeks, I start having these movements and stretches happen, and like some area in my body becomes sore, and the more sore or stretched it becomes, the more emotion as if tension like lies somewhere in the system and wants to come out, but there are too many like defense mechanisms or something.
So you feel like you're distracting from something that wants to come up, but you can't because you feel like you need to fulfill your responsibilities. Is that correct?
Yeah. Or it feels also like there is this sense of responsibility, and I feel like I should be like working and focusing on that, but it feels like my focus goes directly to just sitting with, and then there is this tension of blame that feels ridiculous, but also like it comes up again and again and creates tension. Like, yeah.
So any should is always worth looking at. You shouldn't be doing anything else than you are doing. But saying that, when we are so fixated on awakening and all of this stuff, we can interpret everything that is happening through that lens. So if I were to remove the whole concept of being awake, all the meanings we have assigned to that, all the maps, everything, there would probably come a point where you would reach some threshold of pain of not having any money.
Yeah.
That you would
I think the thing is
go out
like,
and get it.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like the last few years I worked as in media, and getting a job in this field would be a bit harder. But then again, I was a nurse for years before that, so I have this sense that I could get a job anytime. But there is still something in me that is like, why are you so sure? And there is this.
It sounds to me that you do have the trust, but you are doubting yourself. Like, you know that it's gonna be okay. You know that you don't have to worry and you don't have to shoot yourself like I should. You know it, but you have a thought that you doubt yourself. Maybe if you well look at it from the trust on the doubt, not because
that resonates.
I hear that there is trust somehow. When I hear you, this is how I hear it, and the doubt.
Because it was like that for such a long time. There were so many phases of worry, and it's never substantial. I remember there was never a time where
worries,
any of this
all
was
worries.
substantial.
Yes. There is no reason to worry about anything. And when some kind of doubt or worry arises, it's there until we remember that there is no reason to any worry, because there is not.
Yeah, thanks. I feel like maybe there is some seeking happening, but because I have this, like I feel drawn to, I don't know, like, I don't know what happens there. Like this, I feel like there is this baseline where something feels like energy. I don't understand why certain things, like through trauma or something, get where certain ideas transform energy to certain emotions, where when it comes up, you dissociate. I don't know exactly how to express that.
Well, it sounds to me that you have lots of trauma, me as well, and still my body is purging and stuff coming out, and sometimes I cry and sometimes I cannot sleep. It's all happens. It's also, I think, about trust.
Yeah.
Like more and more strong stuff able to arise because there is more and more trust, and it will happen as it will happen. We don't really control it. Like maybe there will be some strong emotions or anything, but we don't control it. So
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
all about trust, I think.
That resonates a lot. I feel like the weird place that also confuses me is that strong emotion almost, I prefer that to that weird space where something is there, but it feels, I feel like there is some identification happening and some tension, but it feels formless. And it confuses me also because in a sense it feels non-conceptual, in the sense that I can't really tell what it is, but it is influencing me, and it is like causing me to like it, I don't know.
To struggle.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
And
here, Norbert, that I want to ask you, can you recognize conflict? Can you recognize two opposing energies somewhere in you?
Yeah, I think it just came to me. If I'm really honest with myself, it's still about my parents and being understood, because I think to some extent I know I can trust myself and what is, but I can't make anyone understand me and my life.
Okay, so the answer to that, the interesting point there is that the juice is, why does it matter?
Yeah.
It's not about that itself, but why
Yeah.
does it matter? That's where the juice is. What gets triggered when those circumstances turn up?
Yeah, that's pretty clear now. Thanks. It's so weird. It felt just beneath the surface and still was so far away.
You also see that all of that you just shared was an interpretation of a sensational experience. Like, I don't mean to take away from how real it feels. I want to meet you in that. But
No, to some extent I understand it, but just logically, it still feels to me like my sense is still that there is some baseline, like there is some, beneath it all, there is some energetic stuff happening, and I map interpretations on it, but there is still some, in my idea, some baseline of somethingness. Does that make sense?
do you mean that there is no obvious narrative or interpretation, but somehow it's kind of on a subconscious level, or
Like there would be some energetic baseline and we map onto it, but I don't, no one can ever know what it is. So yeah, something like that.
yeah, I just mean any meaning giving, any interpretation, anything with words and concepts is a creation by you. So, you know, all of the fears or all of the scenarios that is creating fears is just scenarios that you are imagining.
Yeah.
From a reaction of another experience of being uncomfortable with your current situation. So you get lost in the meaning, in the stories, in the narrative about needing money, about what will happen if you don't have money, about.
Yeah, it feels like some areas are freer, but there are definitely, because like Anton guessed correctly, there was a lot of trauma in my history, and like addiction and this long and everything family related still feels very contracted, and yeah, it's very easy to be pulled
into stories.
Yeah.
I get that. I guess why I keep trying to hammer this in is that, you know, if you can catch yourself going into the stories, even if it's intense, you can see the stories for what they are.
Maybe that's just my fixation. I don't know. Always, when I hear someone say it, I understand the words, but it doesn't make sense to me because some part of this whole process felt so. Maybe that's just also a story, but it felt energetic, like the knowingness of it just didn't help at all. There are just certain areas that just certain emotions seem to, I don't know, have a different gravitation, that no knowingness about it or no like pausing and remembering doesn't seem to help.
There was something you said that resonated with you, like you were searching for help in the knowingness, but the emotional stuff are wanting you to be helpless. Like emotions are felt when you are helpless in front of them. Then you become and you feel it. But as long as you try to help yourself, there is a the association that is going, that you are separating yourself from the feeling because you do not want to feel it. Just try to, you know, like this. Yeah, take me. Like I'm helpless. Because you really are. You know.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's very good reassurance. Like some of these things I could intuit, and like yeah, it's always cool. Like after these talks, there were so many times where it felt like there was some transmission or something, and just things clicked. So thanks a lot. And even if it's just a sense of relaxing into it, yeah.
And when you're feeling this separateness, that you know there is something that for you to feel, but a conflict there, a struggle, like you want to feel it, but you don't feel it, and it's like this. Just, it's also okay. It's an experience that you have of this resistance, and it by itself, you relaxing into the conflict and not resisting the resistance. It's enough. It's good enough. It will clear itself. It will take some time, but it's okay.
Yeah, it has, over the last year, so much happened. So yeah, it will do whatever it will do. And yeah, thanks.
I think it's good to also just recognize, probably obvious to you, but I'm going to say it, recognize that we have a deeply ingrained habit of going to thought as soon as we feel something uncomfortable. Like it's something we can solve.
Yeah, the tricky part for me is where I see the most triggering happens, like it's not intense, or like the more intense the emotion, the better I can accept it. But all my life I had this where it felt like it's uncomfortable, but I don't know what it is. Like there is some dissociation going on, and because it feels like some dissonance. Like, I think because like I was an addict in my life, there is this weird thing that happens where I'm not sure, am I distracting myself from something to ignore some impulse, or yeah.
Well, that's a good distraction.
Yeah.
Asking yourself if it's a distraction is a good distraction. Yeah, we do overcomplicate these things a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm ready for bed. It's 1:15 midnight here. You guys are happy to wind up, we will. Otherwise, I'll make somebody else host and you can keep going. No? Okay, well, let's wind up, eh?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.